Oh,
Yeah, James was the point of contention.
Diablo 2 Resurrected.
Oh, hey, Ben.
Hey, Mail. How are we all?
Yeah,
Right.
not bad, not bad. I'm
I'm
glad
fishing
this week's
bang
over, man. It's felt like it's been going on forever.
This is by far like the longest feeling week we've had in a while.
Yeah, there's a
Ever.
bit too much satanic energy in this
Really?
past couple of
You have
episodes.
absolutely no idea.
I've
Have you been
off sick
summoning the
today
devil
this
at
week.
work again?
I'm only 4 days into my run. I've got 5 days left.
And I've only summoned one devil.
You've got
Yeah,
the
too
run.
many omens.
Why you got the runs for 5 days?
Actually, I did have the runs before the call, to be fair.
Oh.
But that's as we'll go with that.
I'm glad we've immortalised that now.
Oh,
No
Lord.
more cursed films because we've got
No.
John missing the call. We've got Pat with the squits.
The squits.
We have a world full of nonsense.
Oh,
Oh, here
I
we
don't
go.
think we can blame
Oh,
Penny
brought up
for that.
again. Ah, if I'd have thought about it, which is quite a stretch, I could have worn my Satan t-shirt I've got.
You should have thought about it then.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think much.
I didn't have anything close, but I got my Silence of the Lambs one.
Oh, nice.
That's the closest I've got.
You've got a
Something.
So did John say when he was going to watch the film? Tonight, tomorrow,
I think
next
I'm
year?
intending to watch it tomorrow.
Well, he's
You're
going to
so
rate
bitchy
it tomorrow.
tonight.
Fucking hell, Pat. You're like super salty.
Pat's, at the minute, he's sorted out a train ticket to Devon. He's going to go watch it with him. He's just like, you fucker.
My favourite thing about this is the other day Pat was like, "Oh, I'm sorry if I turn up a bit grumpy," and now there's a target for it. Pat's just like, "Nah, fuck it."
I'm going to handcuff him to myself and we're going to sit there. We're going to fucking watch The Omen.
He's gonna do what's it called? Clockwork Orange. He's gonna hold his eyes open. I can't it.
There you
Yeah.
go, John. It's 240p. Ah.
To be fair to John, though, if my only experience of The Omen was the remake, I probably wouldn't be in a rush to watch it.
Yeah, it's not the best like parameter of like
It's an
a good horror, that's
awful
for sure.
remake. Terrible remake.
To be fair, every other film by the original film is shit.
They're not good films, but I found them quite watchable.
I
Yeah,
didn't.
well, like any horror film, to be honest.
Omen 2, though. Omen 2 is very funny.
Oh, I will say, the second and third Omens worked brilliantly to get me to go to sleep.
Oh,
I'll be honest, they
Oh.
still scared me a bit.
No,
fucking hell.
I'm tempted. I'm only
Oh, man.
interested in watching them just to see how the story pans out because I think it's quite an interesting.
Well,
Basically, you know how Damien kills everyone in this one? He continues to do that forever.
well,
That's
he,
his MO.
he continues to do that in the second, and then in the third, he decides he wants to be the US ambassador for Britain, just like
I
his
mean-
dad, even
And
though
then
he's the
that's-
Antichrist.
So that covers Omen 2, that covers Omen 3, the final conflict, and then ironically Omen 4, not the final conflict, it's the awakening. Even though we've had a final conflict.
That kind of makes sense, to be fair, because it's about Damien's daughter, and there's a brilliant scene where she bludgeons a toddler with a lunchbox.
Does she have a 777 on the crown of her head?
Excuse me.
No, it's 999. Remember?
No, it's
Oh, that's emergency
1999.
services. She just presses the crown of her head and gets an ambulance.
Hmm.
Fuck,
And I
this is
think
superpower.
at the end, it was slightly creepy. I was just like, I think I just remember being annoyed and pissed. And they're just like, is this actually like the way they done the kid and all the situation right near the end? It's kind of creepy.
Mm.
I give it that. I anyway.
I think it's creepy that he looks like a miniature of the lead singer of AC/DC. I'm like, oh. Go away, you're like a little dwarf. Sorry, Ben, do you want to get us started?
Yeah.
Why
well,
did you pick this thing?
Well, it's always been on my list for a while, but obviously the death of Richard Donner, the director, kind of like encouraged me to bump it forward a bit more because it was one of my, I would say, earliest horror films I've seen, but one of. And it always struck a chord with me. Of like, I've always been more drawn to the more supernatural horrors than anything else. And this one always I felt was the most compelling and the one that stuck in my mind the most. Because and I think it always creeped me out just more that the fact you didn't see anything too horrible, but it was always more implied and more psychological in certain ways. And I did find that the atmosphere and the dread of the film just goes very well hand in hand with the story and the progression of the one father's. I think that the whole thing about it was the father's one tiny mistake, that just one choice he makes in the beginning just has this cataclysmic consequence all throughout, and it just goes downhill, and he realizes, oh, it just gets worse and worse for him. So always like, I would say empathize, but always was struck by how terrible that must be to be a father that realizes his own son, as ridiculous it is the son of the devil, and it's like, oh shit, I have to kill my own son. Yeah, I just find that just like not only just like horrifying but entertaining as well. It's just a captivating film to me.
We've all been waiting for our child to be born, and then got approached by a priest. Just like, oh fuck.
Sorry, I just want to say, just before that, I wouldn't say it's a tiny mistake or a small mistake.
Yeah, it's quite.
It isn't. It's like, oh, I'm going to say that.
It's quite sizable.
I have no idea.
Even if you don't tell your wife that her kid ain't hers.
Yeah, it's a huge secret.
You're lost cause. Anyway, Rob, go.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, like, I really like that, because it's like to have like your son be the Antichrist is like quite a big punishment. So like to find a sin that matches that is really, well, it's quite difficult, but they did it. Like for the sin to be that he swapped his dead son for another one, like, and then didn't tell his wife for however many years. That's quite a sin.
I'm just saying, like, these Satanists, they don't know how lucky they were, because they had a pregnant jackal, and they were like coming up on the old sick, isn't it? Like, we're gonna need a politician to like just clinch this one. Where the fuck? What? There's one in Rome, and his wife's giving birth at the same. Fucking hell, that was lucky.
I do like the idea.
It's like, they're just, oh yeah, but we need to go and approach him though. And then they're like, I hope he's really suggestible and has absolutely no follow-up questions about this at all. And then they're just like, yeah, we found him. Nice, easy.
I do like the idea that you've got like a meeting of Satanists, and like it just goes 6 a.m. and then they get the notification of the birth, and they're just like, you couldn't write it, could you? Couldn't write it.
They're all lining up.
Yeah, to be honest, that's the only thing that I didn't like about it, was like everything centering around 666. Because it's like, I don't know, there was a few moments where like it kind of broke the immersion for me, like where they find the 666 in the guy's hair. I was kind of like, oh, you didn't need that.
I genuinely laughed when they were like, oh yeah, Patrick Troughton had a 666 on the inside of his thigh, and he was like, oh, a tattoo? And I was like, it's got to be a tattoo. And the guy goes, no, it was a birthmark. And I was like, fuck off.
But then even that's handled quite well, because like where it starts by saying like, oh, it's the 6th of June at 6 a.m. Like I was already going, oh, fucking hell. And then because like, you're already desensitized to it from that, it's fine.
It's so terrible that the person whose actual birthday is the 6th of June isn't here and didn't watch it.
Yeah.
Difficult. He is the Antichrist.
He's off murdering someone.
Oh my god, it makes sense.
It makes sense. John's the Antichrist. Yeah.
Oh no.
He's
watch this film to know that.
He's suspiciously busy tonight.
Oh yeah, I wanted to ask, was it ever, because it might have been, was it hinted at any point before the dad found the grave that they just straight up killed his kid or baby? Because I swear that wasn't a baby's skeleton, but I was just like, maybe it was just bad production. So
I think it's implied that they did, because he says they did.
When they open
my baby.
when they open the graves up, there's the jackal bones, and then they open up the second grave, and it's a baby, and like the skull has been like caved in.
Yeah, so yeah, he kind of got duped, but still he did go.
Kind of got. He's like, I wasn't really. Wasn't a dupe. I don't know.
And killed him.
I don't know who in their right mind would go. Yeah, your
Pranksters.
baby's dead, so we're going to give you a new one to replace it. And no person would go. Yeah, sure.
This is all sounding very transactional.
He went to him like, well, this baby was born and the mother died, so nobody knows. Like,
Yeah, this is the thing. A lot of the rest of the film was quite. Oh, sorry, you was talking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, a lot of the rest of the film I felt was realistic in terms of how people were reacting and acting. And there are plenty of people who don't have sense who act the same way, or even if they have sense, will act the same way. So it's just like, you know what? Fair enough. They're annoying me, but I know plenty of people who would do the same thing. But that first part, that was a bit like, I mean, I don't know how things went on back then, but
That's the thing. Like,
this all felt dodgy.
my big sticking point. Everyone's can go on about the sequels being silly, but I do think like the original is already built on a bit of silly. I'm just imagining these Satanists going like, "What if he wants to see his baby?" Just like, was that? Oh, I fuck up.
I think you lagged out.
yeah, lagging.
Yeah.
Did I say a bad thing?
What was the last thing you heard?
Satanist is the last word I heard.
Oh no, just these Satanists going like, what if he has any follow-up questions? What do we say? It's like, what was the mother's name? Jacqueline. Like, is he allergic to anything? Chocolate, possibly. Don't know. Like, any family?
No, he's allergic to churches. That's what it is. He's allergic to churches.
Too much.
Like, if he's got any follow-up questions whatsoever, it's just like, oh, this gets a bit shaky. Let's just hope he doesn't ask any of them. He's just like, no, I'll have the baby. No worries.
And the way they did it I can't remember which film it was the one with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
End of Days.
End of Days. It was either End of Days or, because I don't think it wasn't Exorcist. The End of Days, where they swapped the baby out. That to me,
that's way better.
But obviously they're trying to set up, like Rob said, the kind of sin aspect of it. The fact that he had this weighing on his mind the whole time. Otherwise, other things wouldn't have worked out because it kept coming up and he kept like not admitting it, even to people who knew it was true. It's just like the priest is like, I know the blah blah blah. He's just like, I don't know what you're talking about. And then all sorts of other stuff.
I just want to see like a bit of a behind the scenes where like there's like a Satanist like in a hospital and he's got a baby and like a rock hammer, and then he's just like, did he say yes? Did he say yes? Did he say yes? And then like he's going like, yeah, it's okay. He said yes, he'll take the baby, and it's just like, I killed this one already. Like, that's lucky.
I think the only criticism I'd have of it is that I would have liked a little bit more of a sort of like an establishment of like he's a big deal beforehand, because like if you knew that he was a politician and he was like getting like this massive job soon and that kind of thing, it might have made a bit more sense as for why he would try and do something like that, because you could have like gone into sort of like his ego and sort of like how it's going to benefit his career and all of that. I think that would have made it a little bit, it would have seemed a little bit less jarring, I suppose. And then the other criticism I'd have of it is that I kind of wanted the guy who was offering the baby to just seem a little bit more dodgy, I suppose. Because like if you had like a Del Boy kind of character kind of going like, come on, nobody's gonna know. Like it would have seemed a bit more believable than just like, we got a baby here, do you want it?
Yeah.
It's not good.
It's just, yeah. At no point, I'd just be like, you seem to have an agenda here, Father. Like, he's like, you don't need to tell your wife, and I'm like, might. I don't know. Maybe I will.
Or show that he's super duper desperate and he'll do anything to please his wife. So he'll accept that child, which is much more plausible than going, yeah, do you want a replacement baby? And he's like, yeah, go on then.
You joke, but it is like that.
That's the problem, isn't it?
What they could have done is
what?
they could have swapped it around. So when he becomes the ambassador, they could have done that before the child is born.
Yeah, I would have liked that.
Like while he's becoming the ambassador, the woman's like, "Oh, I'm going into labour." She goes into labour, and then you kind of see that scene from the start happen. That would have made much more sense.
Yeah, because if that's like the one thing that's missing from like his perfect life or whatever, then you kind of get his motivation for doing it. But yeah, at the moment it's kind of like, I don't know, it just seems like he's trying to do it so that his wife isn't upset about her baby dying, which is a bit weird.
So I think like even if like you're worried about how your wife's gonna take it, I'd be like, no, it's okay, creepy priest man. I'd rather just process my grief than.
He didn't even really look upset.
We don't need to do any of this shady stuff.
He was quite a stern character, so you didn't really have any emotion. Because I would have thought you'd be a bit more distraught if you found out that your baby's died, right? And he was just like, "You got a baby."
I suppose back
He's
in
a
the
politician,
70s,
though, isn't he?
I suppose back in the 70s, though, like it was probably quite normal for men to be quite detached from all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but that would have made it a bit more impactful if he was actually emotional. And you can understand why he would do it instead of just going, "Yeah, I'm taking that."
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I get what you mean. Yeah, even though it's quite realistic that he might be trying to, like, be a strong man in that moment and not really show much emotion, it doesn't really help for the sake of that moment in the film, especially since this is the first time we're meeting him.
Oh, I was going to say the bit that got me was the bit that Rob was talking about earlier on with the woman when she hangs herself. It's like everyone doesn't react to it like straight away. They're just like, "What the fuck?" And all the kids are looking. And I'm just like,
yeah, that made me laugh actually, because I think that's a brilliant scene, because like it's like from the start when she goes up there and she's like, "It's all for you, Damien," like it's really fucking creepy, and then like her going through the window is like it's quite a nice shock moment, I think. But you are right, because you've got kind of like Gregory Peck holding Damien and like trying to shield him from it, and then the rest of the kids are just sat there like,
This is not.
It's like, what?
Yeah.
That was something else as well. Like they just hear her clear as a bell. Like there's a party, loads of kids.
And she shouts.
You just hear her go, "Damien."
You see how far away she is as well. She's like a little dot in the distance.
Yeah.
I did really like the mother in that scene though, because she genuinely looked like fucking terrified. I thought that was really good acting.
But no one did. No one else did.
Knock off some points.
Oh no!
God.
Why is he knocking off points?
I don't know. Maybe it's because the kids weren't frightened enough.
The lack of acting.
What?
Lacting.
Lactating. What?
You got it on the brain, Ben. Jesus.
Those same points need to come off of Antichrist then.
Oh, you are a bitch tonight.
I think the bit I enjoyed the most was like the investigation bit, when they're going through all the different things, like when he says about the photographs, and he's like, "Oh, this photograph, this has got a line," and you think, like all them bits, I'm just like, that's really clever. Like, even though it's done many times. It's basically Final Destination. Would say.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Like, you can tell that Final Destination probably got a lot of their ideas from the Omen.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But I did like the fact that they actually went to the lengths of actually going to the place to find out, instead of it being like, oh, this book tells you everything. Oh, it's that kind of lazy writing in a way. Oh, this person tells you this and then they die. And it's like, no. They actually go and find these people.
I did think that like some of the things that they did well was the set design. So like, you know, when they go up to the priest's bedroom or whatever it is, and he's got like all of the Bible pages plastered over the walls. I thought that was really clever.
Yeah, that was a clever moment.
He's got like 50 odd crosses on the wall, and like everything's wallpapered in Bible verses. I was like, man, this guy is keeping something out, and I really like that.
It's funny doing it on the YouTube video of it though, because like we just thought it was white paint. It's like Bible pages, loads of them, and I was like,
did you watch the really low quality version on YouTube?
Yeah.
Because I found another version that was 1080p.
Oh, really?
Oh.
Yeah.
You didn't share it with anyone.
Well, I kind of got pissed off that I couldn't find it. And then I was like, I literally YouTubed it, and someone actually managed to put their 1080p copy in. They're like, oh, sweet.
Humphrey's a dragon, and his treasure is high quality YouTube videos.
Spent like an hour trying to find. But yeah, it was really pissing me off with that really low quality one, because you couldn't actually see him walking. It was just like a block of pixels in it.
I could tell what was going on. I thought it was like quite well shot, like in that way, because I was like, I have no trouble understanding what's going on here, despite the fact that it is fucking dreadful to look at.
I'm gonna have a look at it quickly.
Let me actually, if you really wanted to, I could send you the link to the after the.
That's too late now.
I'm gonna do it anyway.
We've all seen it now. Well, most of us.
Whoa!
Shit.
He's got all that shit in a catapult, and it's aimed at John's house.
Wait, I just searched the Omen full movie, and the first one I found is the 1080p one.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
Humphrey's magic is lost.
Is it the horror TV one?
No, it's Hungry Mank.
The one I watched was horror TV.
Oh, well, that's nice.
Collection edition.
Oh, I've just found the one that you watched. Oh, it's not terrible. Like it's a bit fuzzy, but it's not. It's
Is
not
it the Cherry
unbearable.
Pie Vacasa?
Yeah, Cherry Pie Vacasa.
I couldn't watch it. It was so bad quality that I
That's not
I
awful.
didn't mind. I got used to it. What I was gonna say is, even though
You hate it?
standalone, the investigations type stuff was all right. I was annoyed pretty much the whole time, because I was just like, I know you have no sense, dude, but your wife just somehow dropped off a banister. You heard all sorts of messed up omen type stuff, and from the priest, one thing's already come true, and you're gonna just leave her in the country. I was just like, you know what? If he had sense, there would be no movie. So I was just like, all right, cool.
I get what you mean, to be fair, because like it probably would have benefited from like at one point him just sort of stopping and going like, hang on a minute, this is all a bit weird.
To be fair, I think he was right to think that she was safe, because she was attached to wires at all times. So if she fell, she did just float very gracefully to the floor. It's all right.
Oh, the remake of that scene is fucking awful, man. So like,
The original scene's a bit fucking awful, to be fair.
it's weird. It's a strange choice, but yeah. So you know how in the original it's almost like, well, it's kind of like the camera's kind of floating down with her very gracefully, and then she hits the floor and it kind of goes like boof. So in the remake, she kind of falls, and then the camera changes to one like by her side, but she's still going really slowly. So you're just, yeah, it looks even worse like she's falling. And then it goes back to one above her. And then she hits the floor and there's not even like a bang. It's just like, woof.
Rosie.
But then she falls later, and she's not suspended by wires, and she falls off about 10 stories, and then she hits an ambulance, warps all the metal, blows all the windows out, and she comes out the bottom, and she's just got a little nosebleed.
Oh yeah, and she just flops down, doesn't she? She just flops down on the stretcher thing, just like.
She's so pretty.
I don't think that's a bad thing, no, because I think if you had fallen in that position, you wouldn't really, you wouldn't have anything sort of visible straight away, other than a little bit of internal bleeding, maybe.
You would have been smashed up if you'd have hit an ambulance that hard.
You would have been proper smashed up.
You'd have been like all mangled. You'd be like,
But you don't see like what state her back's in or anything like that. Like you just, like I don't think that's a bad scene.
I don't know. I think it's very 70s.
It made me laugh.
What was that thing that you said about the other day, Ben? Was it like the beautiful death or something?
Oh, about the woman that fell from the Empire State. Yeah, because technically you'd think that anyone falling from that height would just be obliterated, but apparently there's some bizarre phenomenon. This woman fell from the 80th story of the Empire State Building, landed on a cab or a limo or something, and she was completely preserved. She died, obviously, but the car was completely crushed underneath her, but she looked completely untouched. So it technically is true that she would have fallen out of the hospital window and survived and intact.
I don't know if it. I like you say that's a circumstance. I don't think that just happens. Like you just fall from the 80th floor.
Oh yeah,
you're just completely fine, like just physically. Yeah, I think just how it's all framed though, because you just see all this destruction, and she just for her to just kind of go.
That was very 70s, yeah.
Yeah, very 70s. And the thing is, the ambulance inside isn't destroyed at all. It's just a normal ambulance.
Again, you would have liked like a meeting just after of somebody going, "Thank God we reinforced it."
Oh, that'd be awful. She just bounced off it.
If someone landed on this from a 10-story height, fucking hell, they'd have a nosebleed. That's for sure.
But the best bit of the film is definitely when he gets his head cut off with the pane of glass.
Yes, that is fucking marvelous.
Because because the head is so fake. It's just crazy. Like
how his head spins as well.
I love that. I love that scene so much.
Because I'd seen it before in like what culture? Or whether it's one of the things on YouTube, and they talk about like different deaths in films and talk about films in general. But one of them was that scene where the bloke gets his head cut off, and you can clearly see it's a fake head, and it's so fake. But they catch it from like 5 different angles of it spinning in the it's just great.
Yeah, saying that in the low quality version, it looked more realistic to me.
So you think so?
Yeah.
So I thought, that's pretty good.
And that was his real head.
Yeah, to be fair, that scene does kind of benefit from the head being moving at all points. Like if that head was stationary, then they wouldn't have got away with it.
Yeah. Even though you can clearly see it's fake, like it works so well.
I mean, I definitely prefer that over Patrick Troughton's death. Just when he's running around the church, and then he goes, lightning bolt hits the spire. No, still falling. No, still falling. No.
That's
how
so
long is this taking?
It's so brutal.
It just goes thud, and he's like.
Yeah, the only criticism that I have of that scene is that, like, it goes through him, and then he just sort of goes. That's the only bit that I didn't like, but. Like the thing for me, right? So if I look out of this window here, I can see like the kind of like concrete crosses on the top of the church next door, And whenever it's like a bit windy or rainy outside, I'm always looking at them like, fucking, you stay there. So like the scene as like, I don't know, it's triggered something in me that's made me scared of like church roofs.
Difference is, Rob, that it'll fall on your head and you just go, ah,
Fucking ass.
But
concrete.
the only problem I had with it was that instead of being like, let's say, in slow motion, it's just like, it's like he just stood there for it to hit, for it to, he sees it falling. He's just like, wait, let me go to the side. No, let me just look at it and let it impale me. But then I guess, did he want to die? Because he knew he was going to die, but did he want to die?
To be
Because
fair,
that's what I
though,
wasn't sure, because he was jacking himself up with a ton of drugs.
but to be fair, like, I mean, the alternative would have been that thing coming down towards him and him being on the floor going, what?
Oh shit! Oh shit!
I
I don't have a problem with it. I just think they cut back to him too many times because like there's like 3 cuts back to him before it even hits him, and I'm like, how long is this fucking taking? Because you clearly knew it was happening already, and then it's like you just having those 2 extra cuts of his reaction shot. I'm like, you had time to get out of the way. Just go into the door. It can't penetrate fucking stone, can it? Like,
I gotta say, the build up to that scene is great.
oh
Like,
yeah,
when
that's
he leaves-
perfect.
When
That's
he
fantastic.
leaves and it starts getting windy, I thought that was fucking brilliant until he gets hit by the thing and he's just like, oh, this is really absurd.
It's
Okay.
a silly film.
It is very. I don't know if I'd go. It wasn't scary at all. Like, there were some great bits in it. Like, I love the bit with the dog. Like, the signifying that he's Satan is just such a good metaphor. When you first see him and he kind of mesmerizes the woman, you're like, wait a minute, something's not right here. And then, like, as he goes on, he's basically, that's great symbology.
That's another weird thing with the remake, because the scene outside in the garden, the dog is like it's kind of like a black German Shepherd, and then when they go inside, the dog's a Rottweiler again. So it's like, why did you need 2 different breeds of dog for this?
One evil as the other.
I think it's to signify that the devil can be anything it wants to be.
No, you're right in that for him. They had 2 different dogs.
That's too much of a stretch. These people probably don't think.
I like the idea this devil's just like really indecisive, and he's like, "I'll be a Rottweiler." No, an Alsatian. No, a Rottweiler.
I don't know. It's so weird, man. Because when you see the black German Shepherd, I was like, oh, I wonder why they changed the dog. And then it goes inside, and it's like, oh, they didn't.
See, I think the scene in the graveyard is like the best scene in the whole film.
Yeah.
I really like this one. I just think it's very silly. Just from the outset, it's just a silly film.
Nice.
Well, it's kind of like a grey area in it, because I think, like,
It's very grey.
I think the Exorcist is kind of the point where horror films like started to become a bit more serious. And I suppose because this was only like 3 years after that, you do still have some of like the campy stuff from like the Hammer horror films and all of that in it.
I think I was surprised that it was a double bill with The Exorcist, because I do think that like the Omen, I think The Exorcist is a very kind of like different caliber of film. Like the Omen's just kind of like you said, it's just sort of cheesy to me. Like, whereas The Exorcist, I'd say, is like a lot more sort of like of a serious sort of affair.
Yeah, it's got a style, whereas this is very much like it's all implied. Like,
I mean, this has a style.
Because like I do love the fact that The Exorcist, I don't know, I wouldn't have said it aged. It has aged like terribly. It's like that.
It's barely aged at all.
It's like with the Omen, you can tell it's a 70s film.
Yeah.
Because it just is very, very black style is very 70s, whereas The Exorcist is just, you could have said, oh yeah, this film was made a few years back and they styled it in a 70s style, and people would have gone, yeah, I can understand that.
Yeah, to be fair, I think the only thing that's like badly aged with The Exorcist is the marketing. because of all the this is the scariest movie you're ever gonna see kind of thing. Like it doesn't really, it's not that anymore. But yeah, as a film, I don't think it's aged all that much.
Whereas I think I'd rather watch The Omen of the two of them.
Really? I prefer the Exorcist, honestly.
I think Exorcist is the better film, but I think I'd rather watch The Omen. Like,
it's interesting because like all of the scores so far, like they're almost the same, except for the Omens are just like slightly lower. So like nobody's scored them like massively differently.
Emmanuel.
No, even Emmanuel, he scored The Exorcist 6 and The Omen 5.8.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But what did I get for enjoyment for the?
Well, you
the
gave
Exorcist?
you gave The Exorcist double the enjoyment of The Omen. You gave it 2.
That explains it.
staggering
Yes.
high.
I think it's like the demon Satan type of vibe. I don't think Emmanuel likes that kind of thing.
Emmanuel picked Antichrist.
Yeah.
It's
Second film.
it's not that, because one of my favorite kind of TV series to watch before it finished was Supernatural, which goes through a whole few seasons of that. So it's not about that topic. It's how it's done. If basically, long story short, if the characters are pissing me off and annoying me too much, I'm not going to enjoy it. And that's mainly what it comes down to. At the end of the day, I don't think Omen's a terrible film. I think it's all right, especially considering when it came out, like Rob was saying, during those times in horror films was just getting serious. And I thought the characters were pretty realistic for the most part. I just didn't enjoy it because the main guy, everyone else was all right. It was just the main guy, the dad. He kept pissing me off and annoying me.
I say that the kids. Oh, sorry.
Oh no, done.
I was going to say the kid had like the easiest role in the film. All he did was run around screaming, made a noise, and smiled at the camera. Basically, all he did.
And rode his tricycle.
Oh yeah,
And he attacked his mum.
Yeah.
that's true. He punched her and rode a bike into her.
I think
And I felt for the movie.
Typical 6-year-old.
I think like that's another scene that would have been quite good to see, is like the babysitter having a meeting with like the devil, because you've got the scene where like she tries to bring the dog into the house, and then Gregory Peck's like, no, we're not having a dog in the house, and she's like, all right. And then she tries to stop Damien from going to church, and the mum's like, get him ready for church, and she's like, oh, okay. So I would have really liked a meeting between her and the devil where she's like, I don't feel like I'm providing good value.
She was actually pissing me off. I was like, what are you trying to do? Because if I was Mrs. Thorne in this situation, and I'm like, can you get my kid ready for church? And she started talking back to me about what she thought, I'd be like, well, for one, I don't give a fuck. You are the help. Get my kid ready for church. In fact, fuck it, you're fired. Fuck off. Then also, I'm going to bring a fucking dog in without insulting anyone. And if I was Gregory Peck, I'd be like, yeah, also, you're fired again. Fuck off. I did not ask you.
Especially
like,
a fucking Rottweiler as well. Like, it's not like you've just brought in like a terrier. Like,
because like there's like a later scene where she's like, it's implied she's kind of got rid of the other staff, and they're like forced to keep her. And I'm like, that should have been step one. Then start doing this bollocks, but not. Oh, it's my first day. Well, I'm going to tell you what I think about church. And it's like, what are you trying to do?
Yeah.
That was the thing. There was so much dodgy stuff with her from the start. The fact that it as a child, like maid, butler, whatever, child, at the end of the day, you would normally not just call them. You would like do an interview to see how you get on with them. If you would trust them, not just around you, but your kids and your family. Oh, she just presents some papers and then she goes, you know what? I'm not going to call the agency. I'm not going to check on this. I'm not going to, oh, you did this? No, it's fine. I'm just like, this woman, like you said, Alec, should have been fired time ago. I kept keeping her on. She's like,
Worst sleeper agent.
Yes.
Like, why you hire this person to do this? I don't know. Like, yeah, no. I know he lucked out with finding this guy who will just take a fucking strange baby, no questions asked. Let's really see how far we can push this. We'll send you in as his governess. Just try and piss him off.
Also, just another point. So the bit when he goes in the room and he sees the kid and then he sees the woman in bed, wouldn't you lock the door so she couldn't get out? Because if he knows that she's something to do with him being him being the Antichrist, wouldn't you lock the door?
The thing is,
I would lock the fucking door. If you're gonna see
you're gonna be the Antichrist, mate. I'm locking this one. You can't get out of a normal locked door.
But Dan, you have sense. This guy don't have sense. Most of the film, right up until like right before he's actually gonna do it, he's still not sure. He still finds it hard to believe, even though he's seen the mark. He's still trying to convince himself that no, none of this is true. I'm just thinking too much about it. It's all coincidence, and that's him the whole time. The guy don't have sense.
The man does not have sense.
Yeah, the way she dies is quite hilarious as well. Because he stabs the thing in the neck, and then is it like a fork or something that's stuck in the neck? And she's like, "Oh."
No, it was the kind of spirit killing knives or whatever they were, wasn't it?
Yeah, the ones given to him by Bugenhagen.
Yeah, and she kind of broke it off and then died.
I love that as a creative choice. Just like go to Megiddo and find Bugenhagen. He gives you knives. He's Bugenhagen. Just like do you want to do another name for this guy? I don't know. Just Bugenhagen.
It kind of made me laugh a tiny bit when the Bugenhagen guy, whatnot, was just like, has the little priest or little kind of priest, whatever, died. Like, yeah, it's like, just like, yeah, not surprised. All right, now on to the point. Just like, oh man, that's just sauce. I don't know what to say.
When they go to Megiddo, I was like, does Gregory Peck not have a job? Can he just fuck off wherever he wants?
To be fair, as somebody
whenever he wants.
As somebody who works in local government, that does tend to be the case.
Especially it was the 70s when they had quite a lot of power. So I
was just like, does he not have to like clear this with anybody? He's just like, oh, going to Israel. And it's like, hang on a minute, you're ambassador for the United Kingdom. And he's like, going to Israel, fuck up.
Have you not seen politics in the last 18 months?
No.
To be fair, the other day I was sat at my desk, and Rachel started her new job now, so she was sat in the front room working, and it was like 9:30, and I went in the front room and I was like, oh, I'm going to go down to the corner to get a coffee, and she was like, shouldn't you be working? And I was like, no.
Yeah,
that's generally the attitude in local government.
Your tax dollars hard at work.
So I had a meeting with somebody the other day, and he sent me a message like 10 minutes before, and he was like, oh, I'm gonna have to cancel this because I get tired after 3.
Yeah, the council.
Very nice.
Yeah.
It is a silly film.
It is.
How you doing there, Ben? Frankly, I'm a bit pissed off.
Thank you, my dear. I don't give a damn.
Whoa!
I do like the idea that like somebody from Warner Brothers watched the Omen and went, this guy needs to do Superman.
Yeah.
And to be fair, I'm saying that like it didn't work out, but it did.
Well, that's why he's such a good director. He can go from like Omen to Superman to Lethal Weapon. Like, each 3 of those films are so damn different.
Didn't he do the Goonies as well? Or am I making that up?
Yes, he did the Goonies too.
Yeah, he did.
I said it's kind of funny because we recently watched the Richard Donner Superman, and I was like, I like how the kid in a Richard Donner film that looks like Rob is Superman, and the one with the kid looks like me is the Antichrist.
Damien Pittman.
Got a decent ring to it. Actually, I don't know if it does. On further reflection. Oh, I just remembered that. I forgot about this. When they go for a fucking walk, they go to walk their fucking dog on wheels, and they're just like walking around in the woods, and then they're like, "Oh shit, yeah, we have a child." They're running like a good fucking like couple of yards up the road. Like, where did you think he was?
That scene at the river is like pure like 70s camp, innit? Like where they're like, Damien, and then he comes out from behind the tree and they're like, oh.
Don't you ever do that again. And I'm like, you're a horrible parent. You're just shit.
To be fair though, I mean, like for Gregory Peck, when you start off by stealing a baby and not telling your wife, like that's you've already hit rock bottom.
It goes downhill from there.
Oh man, yes.
Fucking awful. There was another couple where she says something and I was just kind of like, wow, you're awful. Oh, we're at the zoo. And he literally just fucking wanders off. And she's just like...
The baboon bit.
Yeah, with the giraffe. Oh, I did like the baboon bit because it reminded me of the fly.
Oh, no, the baboon.
No, but when she's just signing in and like he just fucks off and she's like, yeah, and I'm like, he could have got kidnapped or anything.
Actually, to be honest, that would have done him a favour.
Yeah, but she didn't know that.
Take him.
Man.
He's an asshole.
Oh man.
I did like that baboon bit though. That was a fucking excellent scene.
Oh yeah, the moment when he went to the doctor because obviously she wanted an abortion, and I don't blame her. Like anyone looking outside the scene would be like, "This is what she needs." She's gonna lose it and probably do something to herself, like with what, like the lady, the maid, and Damien are doing to her when the dad's not around. But then obviously he starts saying that she feels that Damon's evil, that he's not her kid, that he's something alien. I'm just like, she's right on all counts. The woman's intuition is spot on, dude. You have to stop lying to her. She's going freaking crazy. Oh, it's not that bad when he comes home. Yeah, everything's fine, dude. I thought you were a decent guy at first. Now you're just taking the piss. You made a mistake, you can make up for it, but now you just no.
I like how it starts with him exchanging his baby and not telling his wife, and you're going like, no, you can come back from this. You're
And
very
then what did he
forgiving,
do?
Emmanuel.
The last thing is him trying to stab him.
I'm trying to give him I'm trying to give him benefit of the doubt. Yes, he's desperate, not wanting to show his feelings. It's okay. But it's just like, you're gonna keep. No, you can't. You just said I love you with all that feeling and good acting, and now you're just like, no, I'm not gonna tell you. Lose your mind. It's okay. It's all right.
I'd love to see that conversation. Just like, honey, I'm really sorry, but yeah, I took the kid and I wasn't going to tell you, and yeah, it's not actually our kid, it's the Antichrist. And she's like, I did. There are a couple of things. I think. Yeah.
Slams her fist out. I knew it. I fucking knew it.
I thought something was up.
Creepy little fucker with the 6 on his head, 3 6 on his head.
He keeps looking at me, and I keep hearing a full choir going like, "So
Oh, man. To be honest, if that did happen, if that conversation happened, she'd probably be like, well, let's just give him up for adoption. I can't do it. And then the film would have ended. So
just thinking about it, you know that they had the mark on his head. Wouldn't you noticed it as a child? Like, well, when he's a baby, you would see the mark on the top of his fucking head.
I did go back to check.
The mum would have.
He had hair. He had hair as a baby.
No,
Or-
but like when a baby's born, right, you would see
Yeah.
you got thin air, so you would see it.
Yeah, the
Well,
mum
that's
would
a
have.
part.
Yeah, the mum would have seen it. But not the dad. The dad wasn't really.
That's
You
a
know.
really pronounced
He
birth.
wasn't really a hairdresser. No.
But he wasn't
was
really
busy.
around in that kind of way. He left everything to her, like how most a lot of men did back then. So it
Or
makes
men,
sense
eh?
that
For
yeah,
What do you mean?
unfortunately.
bunch of bastards.
So it makes sense for the wife to piece things together over time and to be like, you know what, there's something not right with this baby. He's got this mark, he's got this and that this. Even though she didn't have to say that, it was for her, she's like, yeah, I don't think this is my kid. Like something ain't right. This ain't this is it no. But anyway.
Yeah. It's frustrating really because there are like there's like a lot of good moments in it because like I do like the thing in the graveyard when that graveyard scene is just fucking impeccable. Pun not intended. But thanks, Ben. Just when he realizes like what's happened and that, like I was just like, fucking hell, this is fucked up. Like that they've gone to these lengths. And like it's all just kind of coming down on him, and I was like, "This is good. This is some good stuff." Shame about the concept, but there was a lot of good moments.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, the fact that his arm goes through the fence is it's pretty grim.
Yeah, doesn't really bother him after that though.
Say that again.
When his arm gets impaled, he doesn't really do much. Afterwards, it's like it never happened.
Oh yeah, when did his arm get impaled?
And he's trying to escape the graveyard.
And he slips and his arm goes through the.
Oh yeah.
Just
Because
doesn't
you know,
really come up in the thing again.
Yeah, because he was kind of alrightish. I just assumed it got grazed. I just assumed it was kind of, just shot in a weird way. I didn't realize it actually got impaled.
I'm not sure, but I feel like if a rusty spike like went between your bicep and your tricep, you'd be like, I don't know, you'd probably pay attention to it.
Oh, no.
He doesn't really seem to be bothered by it. So
especially as you've got a pretty big fucking artery and the nerves. So you would have probably pierced one of them, pulled it off, and you would have gone, I can't use my hand.
never
I'm
brought up
bleeding to
again.
death.
But yeah, I couldn't really see where it came through. So if someone who actually saw a decent version of it, I'm free.
It's just a graze. Don't worry.
Flesh wound.
If it's just a graze, that's okay.
It's when he puts his arm up and he's got a nice hole there.
It's like in Con Air where the bullet just keeps walking. Sorry.
I do think that would have been a kind of a cool thing if the reporter took a picture of him and he's just like, he looks like Swiss cheese because of all the bullets.
Like
I didn't
that
do
scene in Death Becomes Her.
I've never seen it.
You must know the scene.
No. Well, I'm glad we put that to bed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to show it. Send it to us, Rob.
I'll just cut it out now.
Calm down, Rob. You're recording it.
Yeah, this foot.
You go.
Don't want to get hit with the old copytisms.
Yeah, this.
Blur it. Just blur it. Oh, what the fuck?
Fuck's
No,
this?
that
Oh,
Oh man.
Yeah.
oh, this is the one with Bruce Willis. Right.
Holy shit.
Oh.
No, it's a body pat.
Yeah.
It's a holy shirt.
You don't have to worry about pooing anymore. Because you got no stomach.
You would have to worry about that.
Looking down, he's only something got to worry
I
about.
think I might have seen that film.
You never know. You may not have watched it.
Um,
Kablam. Yeah.
What you were saying on the last call, Rob, really makes sense here
Yeah.
in terms of the kind of what do you call it? The kind of religion aspect of it being so scary or whatnot, or would have been back at the time, or it was used in that kind of way. It was like really obvious in this film compared to like especially The Exorcist, because in this film it was the solution that the one of the priests was offering. Oh, you have to go to church. You have to do this. You have to do that, or you have to kill him on church grounds, or you have to do this. It was all centered around religion.
Yeah.
It's like, even though a lot was sketchy, I was like, you know what, whatever. It's just a film.
Can I just say, whenever they went into a church in either film, I kept thinking they were going to go up to the altar and then just see like Arnold Schwarzenegger just still impaled on this thing. Just like, oh, you're right, and he's like, yeah, it's just hanging around.
It's the devil.
Oh, man.
No, wait, I just killed the little ACDC man.
What the cook it down? No! Not a tumor.
That was some
1999.
good impressions there.
I'd be interested to know like a little bit more about the writer of this actually, because the writer of The Exorcist was like a really strict Catholic. I'd be interested to know if the writer of this was religious at all.
So,
Well, I think this actually like caused a lot of uproar because like it just created all the Bible passage in it is just like invented. Like there's no mention of the Antichrist being the devil's son, or like he doesn't feature anywhere in the Book of Revelations or anything like that. So people were like, "This isn't even fucking." But it is the reason. It is like kind of what popularized 666 and like people's understanding of the Antichrist being the devil's son.
oh.
So, but like
Yeah.
it's all an invention.
So it's one of these things. It's kind of like how actually, let me not talk about horoscopes. So, leading from what Alex said, it's inspired by truth. So there's things where in the Bible it'll talk about the Antichrist when it does come. They will most likely be some kind of leader that they can kind of sway people's hearts and minds. They'll do sacrilege to one of the Jewish temples and sacrifice a pig in one of the temples. There's different things they might do, but it's like they were inspired by the few mentions in the Bible, or some of the mentions in the Bible, and then created their own version of it.
Okay.
Because
So
that's the thing about these type of films, especially back in the 70s, 60s, 70s, when you had these films like this, when they made shit up, people believed it. Kind of. Does that make sense? It's just like they're more, I wouldn't say more gullible, but
It was before the internet, wasn't it? Like
Yeah.
it's before you could just like Google anything and find your answer.
it's like the fact of, like War of the Worlds, when they aired it on the radio, people believed that aliens are actually invading the Earth.
Mm.
So it's kind of that thing of, like it's plausible, but it's, as you said, it's completely fictional, and people, and through popular culture, it becomes canon, and people get misconstrued.
And
People are stupid.
I think like coming out in 1976 as well is probably like the perfect time for a film like this to do something like that, because back then, like it was sort of like everyone was religious, but nobody was like, well, everyone was God fearing, but not everyone was necessarily religious. So like by sort of taking something which was kind of based in fact but was fiction, you probably scared a lot of people who didn't know the religion well enough to know it was false, but were sort of the mindset that there is a God and you should go to church, but they just don't.
And I
That's
guess
a good
actually
point.
having it explained to you in a film by some character is preferable to actually like going and picking up a Bible and reading it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good point. It's true. But yeah, it's kind of. I mean, yeah, of course, I prefer they make it a bit more authentic. You know, kind of like how the Exorcist did stick to a lot of facts or kind of things and tried to make it as authentic as it was, or make their own kind of reality or kind of create something from facts rather than just create it all up or make a lot of stuff up from being inspired by something, I guess. In this context, I would have preferred them doing something in that way. I would have felt, I don't know. I guess I would have preferred it more be just a bit more creative with, I guess, the original material, if that makes sense. You can do a lot with it, but
yeah. But the thing is, it's artistic license, right? They want to kind of sell it as a, I don't know, by making it up, it kind of makes it plausible in the film. Whereas if you start going by the word, like the written, I don't know, it's tough. But I think when you make it unrealistic, it makes it a bit more.
When you make it unrealistic.
Make it unrealistic. I'm trying to think of the word.
Yes.
Exaggerated stuff. It's
a term.
I think you got it. Hyper make it not realistic.
Hyper make it not realistic.
Expialidocious.
Can either of you remember it from media studies if you did it? It was like hyperrealism. That is a thing. So
yeah, it is.
Yeah, so you're not like far off.
Do we want to do like favorite bits for this one? Because I feel like I know what everyone's favorite bit's going to be.
Is it the bit where he gets his head cut off? Because
the decapitation is my favorite bit.
It's got to be.
Oh no!
Except for the cemetery. The cemetery is my favorite, as well as the decapitation.
My favorite bit is it's all for you, Damien. I love that.
Oh yeah, that bit is. I think what gets me with that bit is the fact that it's so sudden and it's completely contrasting to this nice kind of like, oh, we're having a fantastic life, and then that bit just comes out of nowhere, and you're like, whoa.
Yeah, definitely, man. I think it's perfectly done because the impact of her going through the window is like a proper like, oh fucking hell, like we've started. It's perfect.
It's like the build up to it as well, because when you see her, she's got the noose, and you're like, wait, what? And then it happens. You're just like, you're probably as stunned as the people in the film.
I'd love to be in her head for that one. So why are you doing this? And she's like, a Rottweiler told me to, with its eyes.
Hear me out.
It's going to sound a little bit silly, but it's the second silliest thing that's happened in this film so far.
To be honest, when it happened, I was waiting for something to happen. And I was just like, when it happened, I was just like, oh, makes sense. So I don't know, but maybe that was just me because until that point, nothing was really happening. But we know stuff is going to happen because he is what he is. So
yeah, I would have loved to have seen this in the 70s, like without knowing anything about it, because it's one of those films like if you know anything about films in general, you probably know what the Omen's about, like before you've watched it. So I would have loved to have gone back to like when it first came out, and just going in like completely unaware of what it is.
Well, it's the same for The Exorcist, right? Even now, it's like, what the fuck? Like when her head turns around, like imagine seeing that. Being because most people in the 70s when I watch films underage, really strange. But yeah, imagine this going to the film, you're like, oh, this is supposed to be really scary, and you're like, okay, what? And then you see like, what the fuck? Because it looks really good, like for the time, it just looks really fucking cool the way that it just goes. But yeah, I can imagine being in that cinema and everyone's like, "Wow!"
Yeah.
Oh, there's some part, yeah, where she's crashing through the window and stuff and hanging.
Oh, when her head turns around.
Yeah.
Wait, whose head turns around?
In The Exorcist, imagine being in the cinema and seeing her head turn.
Oh, that part. Sorry. Yeah.
Because it's probably one of the first times where they've used like a practical practical effect, and it looks convincing. I can imagine it's like must have been really, really fucking shocking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If there's a documentary on the Blu-ray, and it's like they basically talk to people who are coming out of the cinemas, like in the 70s, and there's so many people like crying and being like, "Your head turned round."
I would have thought
What did I miss?
I was just talking about The Exorcist, like how shocking it would have been in the 70s
Oh yeah.
to see her head turn around and stuff. Actually, saying that, the bit with the cross is pretty grim as well.
Oh, that's Pat's favourite bit.
It is.
Not bad, man. Pat.
Oh, Jesus.
As Pat said, his favourite Omen moment yet.
A moment.
Moment.
Yeah.
Omen.
You said it already.
Any part that's not in the sequels or remakes.
So just the first film.
Cool. Ben, what's yeah, go on, Ben. Favourite moment?
Well, I think, like you mentioned before, was the graveyard scene. I think is probably one of the strongest parts of the film. Just because you have this, like, obviously you had the seed planted with that priest, I can't remember his name, earlier on, about when he mentions that, oh, Damien's the son of, you never hear what he is, that he was born of the jackal. And you just think, what was he going to say? And then you get this, your mind keeps racing. It's like, what did he mean by that? And then you start to think, oh, he's not actually human, is he? So then they find the grave and then they uncover the horrible truth that he was born of a beast. And I thought that was pretty creepy indeed. And then it gets even worse when they find the grave of the original son, his real biological son. And he was just a baby that was killed on his birth, which I think was just like a double whammy kind of like gut punch to the dad. Is like, yeah, I've messed up big time. So yeah, I thought that was just brilliantly executed.
Yeah, I do really like the graveyard scene, because like what he's done is kind of, it's impossible to empathize with it, because like it's pretty fucking extreme for like a bad thing to do. But that graveyard scene, you are kind of going like, shit, imagine if you had done something like that and then you ended up in this graveyard. Like, yeah, that's it's pretty chilling.
I think that is like I don't know. I think that is the only moment where like I was actually like, fucking hell, like this is actually this premise is just fucked. Like this is horrible, but like in a powerful kind of way. Like,
Yeah.
because I feel like there was a lot of moments where like kind of the production sort of let it down a little bit. Because all the deaths, as much as I like them, they are all they're all very concept for what they've got to make them happen. So like, but that was kind of the moment that like kind of stuck with me with it. Like I was just like, oh fuck, that's terrible. That's like I'm not just nasty. Another aspect of the production I found quite funny was with the priest, and he's blind in one eye, but the eye keeps changing size between cuts.
I didn't notice that.
You didn't notice it again?
No, I didn't notice.
There's like 3 shots of him, but like the eye changes like size and shape in. like just in every single shot he's in, and I'm like, dude,
I
how?
love if this is just like an illusion of watching it in such a low resolution.
It could be. It could be when they moved, the pixels changed.
Okay, well, if I'm wrong, I'll put production up to a 7.
It's the fact that when he sees the bloke, he's nearly sick. He's like, there's no way to fucking.
Poor people.
That's
Word.
that's something that really made me laugh in the remake, actually. So like the scene where the photographer gets decapitated, they change it a little bit. So what happens is like it's really weird. It's kind of like it's almost like a sign that you'd see outside a pub, like like the swing board kind of thing.
Yeah.
So there's one of those on the wall, and then there's like some construction people working on a roof above it, and then one of them drops their hammer, and the hammer comes down, knocks a screw out of this sign, and then the sign swings around and decapitates him. It's fucking stupid, right? But like this really convoluted thing happens to chop his head off, and then his head eventually gets chopped off, and like his head is like on the floor, like away from his body, and then Liev Scribbler comes around the corner and he sees this guy decapitated, and he literally goes like it's just like it's fucking awful, man. Like he literally like comes around the corner and it's as if he's like, I said to the others, it's like somebody disturbed a sneeze or something. He just looks like really inconvenienced rather than like he's just seen somebody's head come off.
So I think like with these kills, because like you have to, obviously that's fucking stupid. Like those are just levels of convoluted that just like that. Oh, fuck off. Like at least believe a guy got out of a van, accidentally triggered, like took the handbrake off while he was getting out, and then like it's an extraordinary circumstance, but I don't think it's out of the realms.
It's more plausible than a sign just flipping backwards.
Yeah. Well, that's why I was quite impressed with Omen too, because I was sort of like, but they're at least kind of keeping the kills like inventive. Like they're not just going like, oh, again. Like it was, yeah. Obviously gets a little bit outlandish, but like I like that these ones are just sort of like they're like extraordinary but not unbelievable. Not like something swings, knocks out a screw. There's a clown juggling chainsaws approaching. Like, oh no, how's this going to end?
Have you ever watched the Final Destination films?
I've never watched a Final Destination film.
Oh, they're films.
I'm aware of the concept, but I was like, wow, that you can clearly see what they're aping.
They were really fun when we were 13. I don't know if they would be now.
Get on it, Pat. We need an event.
I remember seeing one. I think it must be like the fucking, I don't know, 4th or 5th one. For some reason, I watched it, and there's a bit where I think the girl gets shot in the back of the head with a nail gun. It goes, doo, 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 and it's so ridiculous, like how it's all set up, because they knock something and it falls over and then goes along, and then fucking something triggers, and then it shoots the. It's like.
There's one of them. I'm sorry, man.
They're so fucking stupid.
There's one of them where like somebody's looking up towards an apartment, and for one reason or another, a ladder falls out the window, and the ladder hits them in the eye, and they basically like it kind of like crushes their skull because it's hit them in the eye. But the way that they did it apparently was like for the effect of the eyeball sort of like exploding. Apparently the way they did it was they filled a condom with sausage meat, and yeah, that's more entertaining than the film, really. Just the idea of them filling condoms with sausage meat.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
So was there controversy with this film?
Controversy.
Controversy. I'm Sean Connery.
True of Omen.
Because I'm sure stuff happened behind the scenes.
Yeah, it's known as a cursed film, innit? But I'm not sure why, to be honest.
I don't know. Because it's always someone died on set, or someone died related to it.
Oh, bloody hell. Fucking hell. So apparently they hired a zookeeper to tame the baboons. And the day after he tamed the baboons, he went to a lion sanctuary and got mauled to death.
Oh, fuck.
Day after.
Nasty way to go.
Apparently, the special effects director and his assistant were involved in a massive car accident.
Damien?
Yeah. But while you're looking up that, did everyone say their favorite films, favorite moments?
I think
Yeah.
you're the last.
Well, who else isn't it?
I wasn't sure where you were because you're all muted and stuff.
Brexit.
That's right. I'm
It
still
wasn't
listening.
personal, I promise.
No, that's okay. I was just wondering. I think my favorite moment was
The end of the film.
what?
The end of the film.
No, I'm not gonna take the piss. I mean, it actually was. It actually was pretty much near the end, though. But yeah, it's when he finally musters up the courage to actually kill the kids, and I was just like, finally something. Yes, he hesitates, but it's the whole moment in the car where he doesn't want the kid to be seen. So even though the kid's struggling, his hand's bloody, it's just a mess. He keeps pushing the kid down, like in a way that you would never do your own kid. Like he's slowly getting to that realization that he needs to do something. Something needs to happen, and it needs to be me. I'm the only one who basically hasn't been got. Who's around here except the one in the ghetto, whatever, who doesn't want to come near.
So
I'm just imagining you watching this and just being like, yelling at him in frustration, like, for fuck's sake, nothing what you do makes sense. And then he's like, I must kill the child, and you're like, finally, you've seen the light.
So did they intend to make the sequels like when
Definitely
they made the
not.
film?
Definitely.
I doubt it. Yeah, I'd
No.
be very surprised. I'd be very surprised if like they wrote this thinking in a few years Damien is going to become the US ambassador to Great Britain.
Because it's like because the way that it ends, that he survives and he smiles, it's like, oh, so
But I love it if someone's written it. Fucking hell. Someone's written it like, oh, Sam Neill's going to play him later.
Yeah, no, I think that ending it's a little bit of a horror trope in it because it's kind of
like
the story's ended, but the evil is still in the world, kind of thing.
Yeah, I assumed that they were setting him up to end up becoming the president since he's basically they were next to him. They said, oh, he could be fostered by their family. He'd had like examples of how to be president and aspire to it or whatever. But I do agree it'd probably be quite scary on many fronts. Like you could have some lady going, wait, my kid could be, I don't know, not even be like, let's say like Damien necessarily, but a psycho. I mean, there were lots of films like that as well. Eventually later on, but it's like, what is it?
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
Oh no, carry on.
No, I was just going to say, I suppose that's another thing that would have been pretty frightening at the time because back then people didn't have like the best understanding of sort of mental illness and that kind of thing. So yeah, if your kid's kind of acting out a bit and you've just seen this and you are that kind of person that I said about before who sort of is God-fearing but not religious enough to actually understand it all. Yeah, you probably would be pretty scared of your kid.
Yeah, it always, not always. There's many things that remind me of how Hitchcock's Psycho, which that's one of my favorite horror films, straight up.
Really?
Psycho is freaking a masterpiece. But at the time, it made people, because again, it was a lot of horror movies, as you was kind of hinting to before, were like B movies or weren't that serious or were monsters, but not normal people.
Mm.
And it made people start being wary of their own next door neighbors. Like, they look out the window going, what if the neighbor across the street's like that guy in Psycho? What if he's got something doing something in the basement? What if it got people scared?
Mm.
And I felt, though, saying that, I felt for the lady actor not saying that was it. When I found out, it's a weird one. When I found out that the main lady actor in Psycho, the younger lady, the fact that she could never shower again, maybe twice in her life because she was too scared, it made me once in a while go, wait, is someone going to be there when I open my eyes?
I have a little bit of a fear of that, if I'm honest. Like, I find it. I'm not like scared of it, but I do get a little bit creeped out if I'm showering and the house is empty. Like, I like to know that Rachel's in.
Yeah.
I just like the idea, like, just fucking the nun's gonna come out and you're like, Rachel, hang on. She's like, look.
Honestly,
Stop
man,
it.
I don't know. I don't know why I like horror films so much, because they really stick with me.
Maybe it's the impact in what they make you feel. I do like psychological horrors, very specifically. So horrors that get me to think, those are horrors I tend to like the most, which is why I which is why I liked some of the horrors I did, because they got me to think.
Mm. I've just been doing a little bit of reading about why the Omen was cursed, and yeah, it is a bit creepy. So there's one. So apparently, Gregory Peck booked a flight. I don't know where it was going or like why he booked it or whatever, but it was while they were filming, and he apparently cancelled it for like no reason. Like, he just basically decided he didn't want to go on this journey anymore, and the flight crashed, killed everybody who was on the plane, but it also crashed into the pilot's car, and it had like members of his family in the car.
Oh, fuck.
Whoa.
I was really afraid you were
read
going to
about
go
that.
crashed into Gregory Peck's house. And he's like, fuck's sake.
Yeah, apparently there was like multiple points during filming where like people were saying to Richard Donner, like, the Antichrist doesn't want us to make this film, and he was just like, no, I don't care.
Oh man,
What a guy.
I think if I ever, I probably would never be working in a film, but I think after some of that stuff was happening, if I was working in that film, I think that's the point where I've been like, you know what? I think I'm quitting. Sorry, it's okay. I know I won't get much pay, but I'm all right with it. You know, too much crap has happened. I'm going.
It's funny actually, because that reminded me of during The Exorcist, because like, you know, a couple of the actors were actual priests. Apparently, William Friedkin went to one of them and he was like, weird things are happening. Can you exercise the set for us? And apparently the priest was like, no, it might scare people.
Oh man. I mean, to be honest, that probably would scare people. Imagine you just coming to work, just setting up your gear, and someone's like doing it thingy on set, and it's not where you're meant to be shooting. It's like right in front of you. We said it's like, we're not doing the scene here. No, exercise the set because too much crap's can happen. It's like, the director.
He just puts a little like workman sign up, and then he's just like, just wear hard hats, guys. Just there's some work getting done. Just like,
can you imagine like being a cameraman or something and like just turning up to work and there's like a priest exercising the set and then like William Friedkin's firing a gun and like you just be like, fuck this, I'm going home.
Exactly.
Like the idea he's on a cursed set and he's like, I'm gonna fuck about with a gun with my main actor. Nice.
like, yeah, it's like I've seen a lot of crap. I'm out. Bye. Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I do feel a bit bad for the Omen because like I do like it, and I do think it's something that would deserve like a remake. But then when you see what they remade it, I haven't seen what you made by Rob's account of what it's been remade into. Doesn't sound like it was
Hot
the
pile of shit.
Yeah, I don't know why they bothered, to be honest. And it's especially annoying as well because Richard Donner was still around at the time. They could have just got him to do it again.
It's like, you know, my main gripe is sort of like the effects don't look like that. Apart from story wise, but like make the premise more plausible and update the effects. Like, yeah, that seems like that's what you got to do for like a remake of this. But for what you're saying, it sounds fucking dreadful.
It's terrible, man. It's really bad.
Well, that's another exercise in why you don't remake films, because you think like the Wicker Man, the top pile of shit that was.
It's
The
weird,
thing
isn't it?
is, this is the thing I would argue against. I don't think that things shouldn't be remade, because the fact is there's a lot of people who won't watch old films.
Especially not if they're on YouTube in their entirety in 240p.
And the name's John.
What are you talking about?
You beat Pat to it, both of you.
But so the idea of bringing it to a modern audience and kind of tweaking it in a way so that a modern audience would get it in a similar way to the older audience in premise is a good idea. It's just that so many studios like do it for the wrong reasons. They don't do it for the artistic side of it or to make a good film like the original people might have done it. They do it just to make a quick buck, and that's where the problem comes. Because if they made a good remake, you can make a good remake, but
that's always the problem with horror as a genre, though, isn't it? Like, because you could just make a complete pile of shit and tell people it's scary, and people will go and see it.
Yep.
So there's no kind of incentive for studios to actually make a decent thing.
Like
exactly.
Insidious. And fucking like Conjuring, all these type of films, they're just the same shit, just rehashed.
Well, I like The Conjuring, to be honest.
I also like The Conjuring.
Exception to that rule.
Shut it! I'm gonna shut it all.
And I like half of Insidious.
I know. I'm just saying, like, these kind of film formats have been kind of rehashed so many times. It's kind of why I don't really watch them. It's because I'm like, it's just been done, and
it's been done, Homer.
It's been done.
Even if it hadn't been done, like there's some films I see the trailers and I'm just like, no.
Like The Nun. It's just like, oh, this is just a jump scare film. It's just, oh, you think it's that side, but then she turns her head and it's jump scare. It's like, fuck off. It's not a film.
That's scary though. You know the hallway at my mum's house.
Yeah.
Like, because of The Conjuring, I'm still scared of that hallway, because for some reason, whenever I go to the toilet at night and there's no lights on, I always have the image of the nun at the end of it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I'm surprised that fucking nun.
Sorry, man. Maybe you should start watching horror films.
It ain't good, is it? It's not good for me.
Sorry, Pat.
Oh God!
I have the issue with the Annabelle doll more than the nun.
Oh yeah, I hate dolls.
You know,
fucking Annabelle doll. Yeah, anything with dolls. I
Anything? Yeah, exactly. That's why I've never watched Child's Play, because I just no. Fucking thing.
I can take Child's Play, to be honest, because that just really makes me laugh.
Yeah.
I couldn't give a shit about like haunted dolls and stuff. Like, just fucking punt it.
Pat, why are you being such a bitch tonight?
Yeah,
Hey, that's the nicest thing I've said.
What, that you're going to pick it because I said I don't like it?
No, because I actually like it.
Oh, you did.
When you said you were going to be really grumpy tonight, you should have said you're going to be really sassy.
Gonna be the biggest bitch.
I am really grumpy tonight, to be fair.
Really? Yeah, I didn't notice that. But
Also,
yeah,
Humphrey,
He's
there was
fuming.
those in films just like, no, fuck that. Who is it? I think my aunt who lives up in Blackburn, she's got like dolls in her bedroom,
Oh,
but
fuck
they're
that.
like little child dolls, and it's just
Ugh.
like, fuck you. I'm not having any of that shit.
yeah. See, dolls in a room you've got to sleep in is another matter entirely. But films about haunted dolls, I'm like, oh, fuck off.
Yeah, it's bullshit, but no.
Nuns, on the other hand, following me throughout all these fucking films. They're in this one. They're in The Exorcist. They're in the fucking Blues Brothers, and rightfully so. They treat it like a horror montage, and it fucking is. There's a nun. Who else is there? I forgot every other film we've done. But basically, every time I watch a film, there seems to be a nun in it, and I'm sick of it.
But there wasn't a nun in this film.
Yes, there was.
Wait,
They went to a fucking convent.
See what happens when you watch it in 240p.
There's nuns in the rest now.
No, you're right. I think it's because I didn't consider them nuns because there were guys and women, so I just thought they were all like. I don't know. I didn't think. Huh?
Emmanuel, did you have none of it?
Oh man.
That was the perfect.
Oh, look at him.
I was like, waiting for it.
Just want to say, Hump, there was a point earlier where I did kind of didn't look at you for a little while, and then I looked back at you, and your silhouette reminded me of the nun, and I was like, fuck, it's the nun! And I was like, nah, sorry, it's just him.
I was gonna say I should make a habit of it, should I?
Oh, fucking disgusting.
The nun puns. Sorry, I can't help myself. Let's have a look at the films we watched and see if there's none of them.
I thought you were going to go, let's find some more nun puns.
There's none to be found.
God, they just write themselves.
Wonderful.
I'm glad that's cheered you up, Pat.
What can I say? I do love a pun.
And yeah.
Puns on the run.
No.
Turns out there haven't actually been that many nuns.
It's okay.
The days there was a fucking nun.
We know you have a thing against them. It's all right. Or a thing for them. I don't know.
If there's no puns, the fun is none. I was trying to find a way to put that in, and it was terrible. I apologise.
The best bit was that
I have no understanding of grammar, but that's okay.
The best bit was that you went, if there's no puns, and there was a moment where I could see you were going, well, I've started now.
So I finish.
Fucking hell. Nuns.
Nuns with
Pat's next pick.
Nuns with guns.
Pat is not the next pick.
I am saying that's his next pick.
Oh, good. I was like, I will not be usurped by Patrick when he's grumpy.
Pat's doing an impression of a coin.
Gascoigne.
Gascoigne estate.
Oh, Rob, you'll be happy to hear that Joshua lost his titles.
Yeah, no, I saw.
Oh, we lost.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got absolutely outclassed.
Well, that's good because he's got too many
Mm.
first names as it is.
Yeah.
Right, are we wrapping up with the Omen?
Yeah, I guess so.
Anything to add for the Omen? Ben, do you feel like there was something that we missed?
Do you want to touch on the sequels or not?
No,
Okay, well that was Pat's
I
opinion.
was very tempted to
there's
watch
no
them.
need to go over the sequels. They were trash films.
Omen 2 is really, really funny. And
It is.
Oh,
I
They're
recommend it.
incompetently made.
what?
Yes.
Oh man.
But it is funny. And that's the main thing. I enjoyed it.
Were they made to be funny though? Or is,
I
was it
don't
that
care.
funny? It was funny.
Oh man.
If you haven't seen them, no need.
It's not.
Unless you want to laugh, in which case, yeah.
No, if you want to laugh, you just watch Yes Man.
Oh,
Ooh.
incorrect.
What's that?
I
Is
could
that a
watch
Jeep?
many things. I could watch QI.
That's it.
Man, I'm just updated Emmanuel's spreadsheet, and like you can clearly see just sort of like all these. Oh no, RoboCop's an '80s film, but it goes like RoboCop, The Exorcist, The Omen, Close Encounters. It's just all the '70s have bunched in.
Don't forget Jewel as well.
Oh, where's Jewel at?
Jewel's right at the bottom.
Oh man.
Oh, did I put it in? I didn't even put Jewel in for Emmanuel. Sorry.
It's just a
Pull it
coincidence.
out, Alec.
Oh,
You
shut
only had one job.
Fuck up.
Fucking hell, your admin skills are shit.
Ah, well, at least I do my own spreadsheet, unlike you
What?
broom.
Best thing is that
Yeah.
Humphrey doesn't know that you're maintaining his.
Yeah,
Maintaining my spreadsheet.
yeah.
Thank you.
You've got a spreadsheet on the fucking thing. I'll kill you.
I still haven't picked the registry one. What's the idea of the registry film again?
Is it the one where it says Humphrey's picks?
Well, kind of. There's another one that's like Humphrey Weekly as well, isn't there?
Ah,
Which would be a magazine that I'd subscribe to.
oh, God.
I would.
Yeah. Page 3 is something to
Oh,
Oh no.
Oh,
But yeah, with the registry pick, what's it for?
So
I
the
know
idea,
what we pick it from.
the idea was that it was going to be a little bit like the National Film Registry in America. So what they do is once a film becomes a certain age, it qualifies for it, and if it's like of kind of sort of significant cultural importance or something like that, then it gets inducted. And then the idea for us would be that if there's something that's like particularly important to you or anything like that, then you can induct it into our registry.
Like from what has already been in film club.
Yeah, so the idea was to do it
Mm.
like for sort of each year. So the first year would be the first 8 rounds, and then the second year would be rounds 8 to 16, and so on.
No.
Man, apparently Dual Week was so tumultuous that I forgot to update John Humphrey's and Emmanuel's fucking spreadsheets.
To be fair, that was an eventful week. Like,
Yeah.
it was all going well, and then John and Emmanuel watched it.
It's just a wholesome pick. No one can have any issue with it. Oh no! Right, but
I'm looking at my picks, and I've only picked one war film, which is quite shocking.
You did pick like 4 sci-fis in a row, to be fair.
can we expect a war film next?
Mm. Oh, what one do I pick?
And Dan doesn't even know.
Mm.
I wonder what I'll pick. What did I pick last time?
Mother.
Mother.
Motherfucker.
Oh yeah.
Literally 2 picks ago.
Are you
I like
gonna
the
pick
idea that
another
like
horror?
next time it's your pick, you're going to be like, so I'm going to pick a Bong Joon-ho film, and it's called Mother.
It's a sequel to Mother. It's called Brother.
Actually, I have an idea of what I might want to pick. That gave me an idea. But anyway,
Oh, nice.
Anyway, circling back, Ben, is there anything you feel like we missed about the Exorcist? Fucking hell, the Omen.
What else can we say about it? I suppose I could just say the thing that always struck me was the tone and the music of it was always kind of like it always was, what's the word? It went above and beyond of what you'd imagined. I'm not very good at eloquently explaining it, but just the mood and the sound of the music that Jerry Goldsmith did was very ethereal and very creepy. Even before anything happened, you just know this is bad news kind of thing.
Yeah, the score's amazing, man. Like, it's another film where I reckon I could probably like watch it with my eyes closed and be quite satisfied.
What I would say is, like, I was speaking to Alec about this last week after I watched it. The Exorcist, after so long between watching it, it feels very much like a parody, where this one still feels like a horror. It still has that feeling of dread in it as well.
So if I was going to say that one of them feels like a parody, I'd probably say The Omen. I think it just feels sillier to me.
It feels sillier, but it keeps the horror traits in it, where I think The Exorcist, I laughed the whole way through. Like, when I was a kid, I was petrified of it when I was a kid, but now I just find it every bit as a comedy as a Jim Carrey film now.
I think with The Exorcist as well, like, you can kind of it's taken itself like a lot more seriously, so like it is kind of more parody-esque. Like, I'm kind of a pat on this one.
It's only the scenes where Reagan's possessed though, and that's like what, probably about a tenth of it.
They're the ones that leave the lasting impact.
No, I don't know. I don't agree at all.
Let Jesus fuck you.
Oh my god. It's just horrible all the time. Sorry, I'm just updating these fucking score sheets.
Alec, what's your film?
I'm glad you asked, Pat. My film was something that I picked in response to something John said, which was title cards can never work in a film and never have worked in a film and never will work in a film.
Even though we've had a film that it worked in.
Which one was that?
Pulp Fiction.
Oh,
yeah. Yeah, he said it worked in that one. So
you're gonna try and double John's opinion.
I shall give you a second helping of good fucking name cards. It's Bad Times at the El Royale. It's free on Amazon Prime.
Nice.
Yeah, you're welcome. I picked one that's free fucking once.
Or as they call it in America, Bad Times at the El Quarter Pounder.
Bad Times at the El Royale with cheese. Sorry. Yeah.
Do you want to?
And it's a Jeff Bridges. It's got Jeff Bridges in it, so I'm gonna do my best not to upset anyone next week.
I was gonna say something about it, but I just realised we better wait till next week.
That's a fucking spoil.
It's only a small thing, but I'll save it for next week.
It's a fucking great film. I remember it being a fucking great film.
Yes.
I'll see y'all. I haven't seen it yet,